Hello friends, welcome to my channel and thanks for watching this video. So another week has passed by. So welcome to another session of USA Weekly Market Report. Now if you have watched my previous video on this series, I have already told you about the market and what kind of volatility we are going to have. Now we have seen the same thing as far as the week that has just gone by, and probably the volatility is not going to die down soon. So last week was full of surprises and the upcoming week is nothing less than that. So let's see what news or what headlines driving the financial market now, and then we are going to look at our chart section. So as you can see, the new variant detected in 38 countries. Early data suggests it's more contagious, right? So let's go and check it out. And the worst performing tech stock this week suggests the US is done with lockdowns, right? This is another one. So there is a suggestion that is increased transmissibility. What we need to understand is if it is more or less transmissible compared to Delta. And it's all about how things are happening and its impact. And if you're looking at the market, then we are in such a situation that things can happen on both the ways. And whether you're talking about central banks or whether you're talking about policies, they are not as easy as we have seen in the last 1.5 year. Then more turbulence could be ahead for stocks as investors weigh Omicron and Fed's next step. So this thing about central banks action or policy action going forward is a most watchable event people are expecting, because uncertainty is all over the place, and until and unless people, it's not about negative or positive news, it's about the uncertainty. So till the time or until and unless we are done with this uncertainty, you can see volatility going forward. Now if you're looking at the points, stocks are expected to remain volatile in the coming week as investors focus on developments related to the new variant and weigh the Federal Reserve's next step for dialing back its bond buying program. So this term bond buying program, dialing back of bond buying program is not the exact word. I'll show you why, or I'll tell you why. And then we have the past week, Fed Chairman Jerome Powell said the central bank could discuss speeding up its bond buying taper, and this could move up the Fed's timeline for raising interest rate. And third, the CPI, or the Consumer Price Index, is the biggest economic report in the week ahead, and it's expected to be even hotter than the prior month. So they are expecting the CPI to move up, right? And so there are lots of things. The CPI is going to move higher. The indications are there. Also, what I'm saying was that when you're talking about dialing back this bond buy program, and in the second para you are saying that bond buying taper, so both are different things. What US Federal Reserve is doing, they are not actually blocking everything, but they are from 115 to 120 billion dollars bond buying every month, they want to decrease it to 115 or 110 or 105 billion dollar. So there will be stimulus which will be there in the market going forward. Also, I mean, as far as this point of interest rate is concerned, now whether they are going to do it or not, it's a different thing, because right now, even though uh, stock market, or there are various news sources which are talking about the interest rate hike, but this is a very far away scenario as far as the current market movement is concerned. Then apart from this, we have the new variant which have you know push the market in the hands of volatility. That's what we have. Now, apart from that, this news of US job growth disappoint in November with a gain of just uh, 210,000 despite high hopes. Now, this is a very tricky situation, I would say, because when inflation is going up and you these kind of disappointing job numbers, in if the inflation was not up, if the inflation was very low, then market will cheer up this news. But with the rising inflation and job disappointment, it's a tricky situation. So let's see what else we have here. Now this one, yeah, so this is like a ray of this kind of news that Dr. Fauci says booster shots likely give cross protection against wide range of variants. So this is a very good news. If we have the same kind of impact which Dr. Fauci is saying, then things will recover soon enough or fast enough, and the supply deadlocks or the other scenarios, at least we can, because to control inflation and to cope with it, it's going to take a long time. But if other things works well, inflation, at least some portion, some part of it, uh, at least have a respite. So let's see whether it will happen or not. And there is one more news from Bloomberg which I find interesting, is IMF warns variant could derail economic recovery. So this is a news, and fund's chief economist sees downside risk to 2021 5.9% rebound. So what she is saying is that the IMF sees downside risk to the global economic rebound it forecast for the year and next, and is concerned that new variants may hinder the recovery. Also, most of the overall risk are to the downside, and she said that in a virtual okay, this is about it. And in January, the variant strain may increase risk to the outlook, and the world could also see uh, more aggressive variants that further damage the recovery. Now, the Washington based lender trimmed its outlook for global economic expansion this year to 5.9% in October, warning a dangerous divergence between richer nations and more vaccine access and poorer countries without. So, this is all about the risk that she's talking about, or the IMF is talking about. But I mean, you have some segregations here, right? Because we know how things are going on across the globe, and if any variant comes up, it doesn't matter which country you are into, in some form or the another, most of the things are happening across the globe, because somehow traveling has already been started. Also, some countries, and these are developed countries, which are facing inflation risk, and whether they have growth or not, because when jobs are low, then you have inflation, then the situation will become difficult or different. Also also the countries where, even though the job number are less, or people are still in a bad position, but inflation is less. Their stock market or the financial market definitely have their way out. So this is another thing, right? So we need to see what's actually going on or happening across the globe. So people will find different opportunities in different markets. So let's go and see now what has happened and what we are going to expect moving forward. So So VIX is still very high. 30 is not a normal number. We have seen it going below 15, if I'm not wrong. Let's go and check it out. I mean, 30 is a very big number, I would say. So the low it has recently made was 14.84, and so 30 is a very big number, and if it continues to sustain like that, market is not going to stabilize, that's for sure. And we have seen where one day Dow Jones making big moves, another day NASDAQ making big moves, but you can see the overall impact on S&P, right? Gold is actually holding fine as far as the current market is concerned. Now, apart from that, the good news is the price of natural gas has come down quite drastically because it was near 7. Now it is trading at $4, so it is very good news, I would say. Then, uh, then one more thing, bond yields are fine, but one more thing is dollar index. So let's now go and check out all the important charts we have, and let's see what they are talking about. So let's start with the charts. So the first one, I think the most important one here will be the dollar index, because this is the one which is making sensational moves, I would say. And if you can see, the it doesn't matter actually. It doesn't matter if the interest rate currently increasing or not, but because the Fed itself is saying that this tapering news and inflation, the perception is so strong that they have to or they will increase the interest rate, but whether it will happen or not is a big question. Currently currently a breakout has indeed happened, and the dollar index, if it sustains above 95.23, which it is right now, we have two big levels to look at as far as the upper end of the range is concerned. So what we have here is 100.61, and you have 103. So I have been talking about these two levels a couple of times. So these are the levels that we are going to look at as far as the dollar index is concerned. And below 95 we have the lower end of the range, which is in between 89.6 and 88.42, right? So these are the levels that we are going to look at as far as US dollar index is concerned. Let's go and check oil, because it's a relief, I would say, the way the price has fallen. It's a real relief, not only for developing countries, but across the globe, because and as we are approaching, we have approached the winter season, and currently we are in December, so energy consumption is going to be a very important factor, and if the price does not sustain at a particular level, and if it still remains high, then it would be a problem. Currently currently if you are looking at the price action of, this is WTI crude futures. So currently if you are looking at the price structure, what we have here is 68 as your resistance and 62 as your current support. Now I have talked about this level, and a very fast move we have seen, and below 62 we have 57. So these are the ranges, or these are the levels that we are going to look at as far as the range or trend is concerned. Now looking at the um, equity index. So if you are looking at Dow Jones is actually trading near to its support level. So if you are looking at the current range of Dow Jones, what you can clearly see is it is very near to its support level, and that's why, or that's where you can see the trend is at least sustaining, right? So this is what we have. Here we are, right? So your current support as far as Dow Jones is concerned is 34,000, and we have to see whether the levels will sustain or not, because the volatility is very high. The volatility is indeed very high, so we have to see the levels. And the current support it has taken at 34,300. So if this indeed the end of the correction, then it is moving towards 36,900 or 37,000 on the upside, right? So this is what we are looking at as far as Dow Jones is concerned. Talking about NASDAQ, the NASDAQ has actually fallen, and if you are looking at the price chart of NASDAQ, what we have here is yeah, so this is what we have here as far as the levels are concerned. Now looking at the current trend or range, even NASDAQ is very close to its support level. As you can see, it is very near. It has a, so there are two levels on the downside which you may look at as your support or big support. Here we are. So this is what we are looking here, and as you can see, NASDAQ is actually at its support level 14,945, and the big support we have here is 14,700, and on the upside you have 16,400 and you have 16,600. Now one thing is very clear, that both the indices are very near or at their support levels. So is this a turnaround, or we can see something else? That we have to wait. We at least have to wait for one more week, because things are volatile. There are a couple of things which need to be cleared by the central bank, and if you are looking at the dollar index, if it moves towards 100, then obviously it will have a negative impact on equity indices. Now another chart which is very important, and we have started talking about it for the last 1 or 2 weeks, is the VIX. Now if you are looking at the VIX, what you can see, it's actually started moving higher, irrespective of how many point it is going up or down. But 30 is a very high number, as we have uh, discussed earlier in this particular video, that it it has actually reached to a low which is as low as 14.7, 14.8. And what we are thinking previously, that it may go down towards towards the lower end of the range, which is nearly 9, but it has actually moved and testing 30, which is not good. So let it sustain, and if the VIX started slowing down, then you will have a positive impact as far as the equity market are concerned. Lastly, we have gold, and gold is something, this is the chart of gold futures, at least sustaining here. So gold is something where you can see the price is actually sustaining. It's actually in a consolidation, but you can see some positive moves in the last trading session. And looking at the current price action we have, so there are a couple of levels that one must look at. So this is what we have as far as the chart or trend is concerned, right? Although it's in a trading range, so let it move beyond or above or below this range, but the way it is sustaining, so this is gold futures chart. So you have your immediate support at 1760, then 724 and 1688 on the downside. Similarly on the upside, the first target 1841, then you have 1879 and the high of 1924. So this is the current range, and probably it has fallen enough, and right now it's a time to at least some sort of rebound going forward. So I mean, things look stabilized at one side. If you are looking at the chart, you can see things are trying to stabilize themselves, either gold or apart from VIX as well as dollar index. Whether you're talking about Dow Jones or NASDAQ, they are near to or at their support level. So it looks like they are going to move higher. But the thing is, the uncertainty will come from the central bank or the policymakers. So we have to see how they are going to move. So next 1 week is going to be very crucial, and we have to see how it's going to move in the upcoming days and weeks. So this is the end of the video. If you like this content, do share your thoughts in the comment section and subscribe my channel. Lastly, take care of your family and friends.